My loves, let us begin with openness, with summer of loveness, with deeper relating, intimacy with yourself and the world. The doors to our heart-centered membership are open for new members. I'm trying a new thing. The doors are only going to be open until June 30th. We close them, then I create an extra sacred container for the community, for the members. For the months of June, July, and August, we are focusing on relationships. So to kick off today's episode of With Love, Danielle, I have this is the first time we've ever done this, count them, 2 discount codes for you to use at checkout, all related to the membership. You head to daniellelaporte.com/membership. And if you want to join our life track, you use the code LIFE15 at checkout, and you get $15 off of your first month in the membership, which is normally only $25. And that price is only going to be good for this round because it's a deal for the value that we give, for the beauty of this community and the monthly workshops, and because this is a creative experiment. So if you just want the body, mind, spirit support, we call that the life track, then you use code LIFE15 at checkout. Now, we have a second track underneath that beautiful umbrella of the Heart Center membership. It's called the business track. If you join the business track, you get all the stuff in the life track, which is our monthly workshop and the support system, and you get 2 meetings a month to support your conscious careering, your entrepreneurship. So if you want $50 off of your first month, and normally that month is only $75, you go to daniellelaporte.com/membership and you use the code BIZ50, BIZ50 at checkout. You get your $50 off. These coupons are workable. They are valid until 11:59 p.m. this Friday, June 21st, because after that, I got to close the door and create container for community. So let me just replay this. daniellelaporte.com/membership, life15 at checkout for your $15 off your first month, or biz50 for $50 if you join the business track, which is rich and informative and will help you take your work in the world to the next level. Okay, let me tell you what we're doing in this episode of With Love, Danielle. Here's the question. This is the question I'm asking myself every day. How can we all restore ourselves and our work in the world after all the recent years of whackness on the planet? Are you curious about how a business that works can thrive without perpetuating grind culture, without going down that slope into burnout land? I have some ideas for you. So what you're about to hear is an excerpt from a webinar that I gave recently. By the way, this is the kind of stuff that we talk about often in the business track of our Heart Center membership. The webinar was called Woo Woo Business That Works, and we have the proof. I've been super delighted to find out that people were so curious about how we did our metaphysical days of the week calendaring for the business. So I walk you through the energies of the 7 days of the week, just like we have planets, whether it's Venus or Mars or Mercury, that influence us and different transits in particular ways. Those planets have a very specific influence on each day of the week. And we use that knowledge to do our business planning. There's a reason that the With Love Danielle podcast comes out on Wednesdays, and you are about to hear why. Okay, let me give you some synonyms for woo. Energetics. What are the energetics of the situation? Metaphysics, esoteric, ancient wisdom, intuitive, seasonal, rhythmic, heart-centered. Boom. Okay, I'm going to run us through how we plan all of our launches and our meetings all the time. This is based on the metaphysics of the days of the week. You can find data to support any ideal day for launching things that you want. You're going to get all of this in writing, by the way. So you can do your research and you'll find lots of people say the ideal day to launch your podcast is Mondays or Thursdays or whatever it is. And I did that for years and it just never felt in sync with who I was. We now launch our podcasts on Wednesdays. We have all of our classes on Thursdays. I will explain why. So, Sunday. Sunday is ruled by solar energy, sun energy, soul, soul energy. It's all about Christ consciousness, Buddha nature, divine love. It's actually the first day of the week. It is really the best day. I know culturally we're not set up for this, but it's one of many things that is like counterintuitive, counter divine in a way. Sundays are great days for restoration and preparation. So without making it a dictation with our team, what I've noticed with the team for the last year or so is that naturally the team does their planning on Sunday nights. We're really all here lit up by what we're doing and we want to be prepared. The worst day to prepare for your week and set things up is on Mondays. So if you are in a place creatively in your careers where you're not dealing with Sunday night anxiety, which I used to deal with a lot when I was running a think tank in Washington, D.C., just like an hour after dinner, set your intentions for the week. That's the ideal day. We call it Sunday night enthusiasm on the team, and it's palpable. Mondays are ruled by Mars energy. So, Mars energy, Mars is known as the planet of war. Mars is aggression. There's a light side to aggression, which is you get things done, you lift off, you get stirred up, things that need to come from the shadow come up. But Mondays are more emotional. Sorry, I was reading Tuesday. Sorry. Let's go with Tuesdays. So I'll go back to Mondays. That's Tuesdays. So Tuesdays, Mars, confrontational energy, not the best day to launch projects, not the best day to activate new ideas. So we never launch on a Tuesday. Let me go back to Monday. We never launch on Mondays. Why? Really practically, because nobody wants to be working on the weekend. If you launch something on a Monday, for sure, your team is going to be hustling Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Also, what you're going to see a lot online on Mondays is news about what happened that weekend. Super Bowl happened this weekend. This was the news of the weekend. These are the trends. Yeah, everybody's coming back to work. There's fatigue. Forget it. Monday is no outward facing events. I no longer have Monday meetings. I learned this from Amy Porterfield. I want to take that fresh start energy, that expansive energy from Sundays, and bring it into my Mondays. And also, the team wants to get their stuff done so that we can really have hyper productive and flowy creative meetings on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So, like, they're doing their thing to get things ready for my input and my clarity, which hopefully they don't need much of. Okay, so we did Mondays, we did Tuesdays. Let me go to Wednesdays. Wednesdays are ruled by Mercury. So just think mercurial, communication, think Gemini energy, talkative, broadcasting, journalism, publishing. This is the ideal day for getting your ideas out. The energy allows for more support and fluidity of disseminating ideas. This is why we put out with Love Danielle, our podcast on Wednesdays. So much data that says Wednesdays are not the best day. Don't care. Guess what? Because it feels aligned for me, it's actually the best day for us to put it out. It also allows for real-time production. So like I just recorded a podcast on Monday that's going out tomorrow. It's all about my wedding, things I learned from the ritual and family and all that stuff. So because I have deep work Mondays, no meetings, if I'm not ahead with my podcasting, we've got a window to do it. It's a tight turnaround, but we do it. Thursdays are ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is all about abundance, luck, if there is such a thing, auspiciousness, determination, vastness. So like when I get a message from VS, she's the energy worker I've been with for about 10 years. If she texts me on a Thursday, she just says, happy expansion day. That's why we teach on Thursdays. Expansion, absorption of information, reaching out. So, and by the way, all of our events now will always happen at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Took us a decade to figure out that 1 p.m. Pacific, so translate that for wherever you are, is the 1 hour of the day where you can catch almost every time zone on the globe. Some people got to be up at midnight, but it's better than being up at 2 a.m. Okay, Friday is ruled by Venus. Friday is my favorite day. Venus is the planet that rules relationships and all communications around relationship. Venus is divine love. Venus is selflessness. It's about the transpersonal and the impersonal, which is always about being inclusive. It's about goodwill. Venus is it's a great day for a date night. It's a great day for community. It's a great day for ideas. We have been practicing, we want to make it more of a commitment, Flexi Fridays on our team. When I went into startup mode about a year ago, I was like, hey, Flexi Fridays are suspended until further notice because we just got to go for the next 6 to 12 months. But we're getting back into that mode. And I have the data to prove like my best ideas come on Fridays. I think part of that is because of that Venus influence of just love and seva, service. And part of it is if I get into Flexi Friday mode, which is I'm available for everybody, and I'm also available to myself for rest and play, that's when the ideas come. You know, those of us who think of ourselves as creatives with a capital C, we need downtime. We need empty space. The space will naturally get filled up with, two things. One, nervous system restoration, which is essential, and that's really got to be the priority. But once that regulation happens, then the ideas start flowing. And by ideas, I don't mean just new ideas and ideating and innovation, but also ideas for clarifying and optimizing what you've got. It's not just about newness, it's about a refinement of thought. Okay. Saturday is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn is this father energy. Saturn is big, it's heavy. Saturn is the day for rectifying karma, for cleaning things up, for tidying up your inner state and your outer state. Saturday is actually the ideal day for running errands. Saturn is about structure, it's about rigidity, it's about to-do lists. Saturday is when lessons that we perceive to be painful can come. So rest, play, getting stuff done, unplugging, extra living. Think of it, if you're so inclined, as the finale of your week, because Sunday's fresh energy. Yeah. Okay. You get all of that in a list. All right. So let me glide through Mercury retrograde for you. I just want to get the important lessons. So you'll see on this slide here, the remaining retrogrades for the year. Aren't we blessed that 2024 has 4 retrogrades? We've got 2 more coming up, one in August, the 4th to the 27th, and one that begins November 25th to December 15th. I've watched this pattern over the last 7 years or so, where for about 7 years, we had Mercury retrogrades every Christmas holiday. How awesome was that for traveling and family dynamics? We're moving out of that. Should get a little more graceful for family gatherings for those of us who celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, and all that December, November stuff. Okay, this is what I would love everybody to be aware of. Mercury, as we talked about, Mercury rules Wednesdays. When Mercury goes retrograde, the easiest way to conceive of this is that imagine that the planet that rules communication, information, dissemination, technology, it's kind of like going backwards. Another way I like to describe it is it's in its shadow phase. Stuff that's in the basement under those kinds of things, communication, technology, travel, will come up to be reckoned with. It doesn't speak clearly. It's indirect. There's confusion around that. There is a shadow period to this. So it's a big transit. It's a big happening every year, 3 to 4 times a year, lasts 2 to 3 weeks. And you can feel it coming and you can feel the hangover. So it doesn't feel fun, But what we do is we actually tack on a week before Mercury goes retrograde and a week after the retrograde stops, which is to say Mercury goes direct. And we don't do particular things in that time frame either. So we actually kind of extend that retrograde awareness energy by 2 weeks. So these are things with respect to business. This is a new list, by the way. This isn't the same cues I've given before in personal workshops. These are things we do in a business format in honor of Mercury retrograde. So first of all, we're not scared of it. It's not like, oh, Mercury, Freddie Mercury is in the blender. What do we do? All confusion. We're scared. No, we use it. This is a time for cleaning up. This is a time to practice more mindfulness. Things I will not do during a Mercury retrograde. I will not sign contracts. I will verbally commit to things if I have to, but I won't sign for that whole period, the week before and the week after. There's no binding document that gets executed. I try not to hire people, but if I do, we don't sign a contract. So I can say, like, listen, you're in, we're just going to have to operate on trust. We'll execute your contract when a week after Mercury goes direct. I try not to let people go during Mercury retrograde, which seems a bit counterintuitive because it really is a time for letting go, for blessing, releasing, cleaning out closets and files and all of those things. But we got to remember that communication is a little bit funky during this time period. So people's triggers are more triggerable during this time. So this would be a good time to maybe have conversations with lawyers or to come up with your exit plan for somebody or their bonus package or whatever. And then you just wait until Mercury goes direct to have the actual conversation. We will not launch all new projects. So sometimes you've got to launch an offering that's under this big umbrella, this bigger project that's already out in the world, and you just got to keep going because your love and determination is going to guide your path, right? We don't want to be scared of what's happening planetarily. But I would never launch anything new. I would never launch a new course or a new membership. I would definitely never be launching a book during Mercury retrograde. I can look back and see contracts before I was wiser to this that I signed and how things went sideways. I will do speaking gigs because you got to take the gig, but I just like quadruple check everything. This is a great time for doing a digital cleanse. Go through your Google Docs, all the things. I mean, a great business side note, I'll tell you that this is what happens when you don't pay attention to micro spending in the business for about 3 years. One year, we got down and like, we got to clean up our apps and all of our subscriptions. We gave everybody 2 weeks during a Mercury retrograde to look at everything they had on their phones, on their laptops that they were subscribed to, that the business was paying for. And we ended up saving $14,000 in silly subscriptions. It was a great time for a cleanse. On a personal note, every few years during a retrograde, I will burn my journals. So this is kind of silly, but I only write in moleskins. I just have gotten attached. It's my Virgo. And then I decorate all the covers like I'm in grade 6. I love it. And what I will do is during a retrograde, I will go through my journals and I will just pull out my business ideas. I'm not an actual journaler. I'm just an idea note taker. Everything else I do journalistically, I mostly write and burn exercises. So I pull out my business ideas and I just put them in a folder and then I burn my journals. Also, if it's not a good time to do a journal burn and it's a painful memory, I just go rip it out and tear it up. Why do I want to go look back and read notes about my divorce? I don't. So I change my relationship to my past, helps my nervous system. That's about it. I do avoid making travel plans. My loves, Summer of Love has officially begun. I'm kicking it off with a 4-part heart opener video series. It's really sweet and simple. So for 4 days in a row, you're going to get videos that are under 5 minutes. Day 1, I'm talking about self-compassion scripting. The nugget for day 2 is ego relationships as compared to soul relationships. Day 3, I talk about accepting the ebb and the flow of relating because it's going to happen. Some days we're going to be up, some days we're going to be down. And on those down days, we do not need to catastrophize the relationship. And then day 4 is about the side effects of manipulation because we all do it to get our needs met. It's actually an unhealthy behavior in response to a healthy need for connection. So you go to daniellelaporte.com/heart opener, one word, and you get instant free access to the 4-part series. And the bonus, this is such a beautiful extra on this. I'm doing a live summer solstice meditation. Please come to that. It's free. Friday, June 21st at 7 a.m. Pacific. That's 10 a.m. Eastern. Friday, June 21st. And you will get the replay of that meditation. daniellelaporte.com/heart opener. Let's shift out of Mercury retrograde and go into the business manifesto. So this is something that's really been in process, and I think I'll continue to keep refining over the years. But for the last 5 years, been working on this manifesto. And I didn't need it so much for myself, but I needed it for the team. You need to have the light of your North Star in writing when you onboard people. So here's my outline for this. I'll tell you what the manifesto is, but the energy in this is that every single word in your manifesto of your business, is intentional, and you sequence it in order of priority. And priority in your business should often be what generates the most revenue. It's your highest revenue stream. It isn't always your number one priority. Like, you could have a membership that is not making you as much money as your consulting. And maybe that membership is the most important to you because it's got the most impact and it's what's most spiritually, psychologically fulfilling for you. And your consulting is paying the bills, and that's where you're. But okay, so every word intentional. If this takes you 6-9 months, just take 6-9 months to work on this. Your manifesto has to feel a bit lofty and a bit out of reach. It should feel like your very grounded, powerful fairy godmother wrote it for you, and she wants the best for you. Or they see your power, or he is aiming high for you. You're going to grow into the goal. So I have some warm-up questions for you. I have 4 questions for you. Okay, this is what's behind this question. And the idea is you journal with these questions before you move into actually creating your manifesto for your conscious business. So the first question is, what would you really, maybe even secretly, love to have happen in your business, in your work in the world? Really, maybe even secretly, love to have happen. And I put the word secretly in here because I was in a business partnership once upon a time and I secretly wanted out of it. As much as I loved my business partner, I secretly just wanted to do all of the media interviews by myself because I had other things to say and I felt really guilty about it. And that partnership dissolved for lots of reasons. And now we're great friends and it's lots of love. But really pay close attention to your creative fantasies. Would you secretly love for someone to come and buy your business? Maybe it's not in a state where anybody would pay anything for it. But if that's there in your consciousness, then maybe you need to rebrand so it's more purchasable by an outside party someday. So maybe instead of it being Danielle Laporte Inc., it's heart-centered leadership. By the way, I will never sell my business, but I'm clear about that now. If I did want to sell it, I would rebrand now. Okay. So really secretly love to happen. This will also help you get clear on parts of your offering that you might want to retire or you might want to double down on. Okay. Next theory is keeping it lean, keeping it clean. Question is, what would radical simplicity look like for you? What would radical simplicity look like for you? Radical means it might make you uncomfortable. You don't know how to get there. There's some nervousness around it. That it might feel eccentric, a bit dramatic. Might have to move some people around, but just go to radical simplicity. Because when you go into your manifesto and your business planning, you can go into moderate simplicity. There's many times, this usually happens every 9 to 18 months, where I get into radical simplicity mode and I think, oh, I'm just going to write books and have it myself and one person and a web designer. That is not what my life looks like now. But it really inspires. Currently we have a delightfully tiny team. We're making the most money we've ever made, highest profit margins with the smallest team. Okay, last theory and last question. Keep it pointed to where you want it to go. So where do you want to go? And if you're not clear about where you want to go at the moment, then just come up with a few scenarios, positive or negative, where it could all go. I want to be a best-selling author. I want to sell my company. I want to retire in 3 years. I'm never going to retire. Where do you want it to go? And the clearer you get on where you want it to go, that really becomes your GPS system. Do you want to be working one-on-one with clients 4 days a week, 3 years from now? Let me give you a time metric. Where do you want to be in 3 years? 3 years is manageable. 5 years, I don't even think about 5-year goals. 3 years from now, where do you want to be? If you want to be working one-on-one with clients 3 years from now, then keep seeing them now. If you don't, you might want to phase out by the end of this year. You might want to move into a more scalable group coaching project. If you want to be creating a lot of saleable content and growing everything in your shop 3 years from now and not writing it, you should be looking for writing partners right now. People who can repurpose and curate your stuff. Is what you're doing now what you want to be doing 3 years from now? Let's move into the components of the manifesto itself. So the first question is, this is about your purpose. Your purpose, all within the manifesto, has to be stated in one sentence. This might take you 3 months to get clear on your one sentence. You might have to go for many walks around the lake till you find that one sentence that clicks and that somebody else could understand. Somebody on your team could understand. So my purpose, our purpose is we help people create conditions of healing. If you would ask me 3 years ago, our purpose was we help alleviate suffering and amplify joy. Cool. Okay. Let me switch gears. We're going to go into your hedgehog. So a business book that was biblical for me was Jim Collins's Good to Great. You can just Google hedgehog concept. You imagine 3 interlocking circles with 3 questions. I'll give you those questions now, okay? What are you deeply passionate about? Deeply passionate about. Helping teens be more empowered, passionate relationship, learning transference, whatever. Deeply passionate about this. And pay attention to see if what you're deeply passionate about. I like doing first thought, right thought. Oh, isn't that interesting that that's the first thing that crossed my mind? Is there value in that? Or is your mind just off gassing? Don't know. It's different for all of us. Because what comes up for you in terms of deep passion might not actually be what you're doing. And that might be okay. Or it might call for a big pivot. Okay, second question in your hedgehog concept. What can you be best in the world at? What can you be best in the world at? Listen, this is the most important word in this sentence. Can. Not what do you want to be best in the world at? Or what you currently are the best in the world at? But what can you be the best in the world at? Given your skills, the market, where you live, your industry. So maybe you want to be the best wedding dress designer in the world. But really, if you look at things, maybe you can just be the best wedding dress designer for women who are, a certain size and up, working with silk in Canada. And you're going to own that. You're going to rock that niche, and that's going to make you profitable. Maybe you can be the best in the world at coaching a particular gender in an age range in a locale with a certain set of problems. And you can rock that. Doesn't mean that will be your only offering, but you might want to consider leading with that, perfecting that, and getting all of your testimonials based on that. And you go from there. Okay, next question. What drives your economic engine? What drives your economic engine? Where do you make the most money? I would add a secondary question in that. Where do you make the most money the fastest? This might be directly related to your customer avatar. So I say we generate the most money from our business accelerator program in a short period of time. But we generate more money over a longer period of time through our membership. So that's knowing that's going to help me prioritize. Let me give you an example. Talk to Chip Wilson, who's the founder of Lululemon. For years, what drove Lululemon's economic engine was black, stretchy yoga pants for women. Because it was mostly that customer avatar that came into the store and it spent the most money. It wasn't hoodies. It wasn't pink yoga pants. It was black, stretchy yoga pants. That was magnetic. That drove everything else. If all of this metaphysical stuff resonates with you, if you want to go deeper, if you want regular, consistent support about what's happening in the planets and how we can regulate our nervous systems so our relationships are more intimate, so we sleep better through the night, so we can simplify our spiritual practices, now's the time to get into the Heart-Centered membership. I've been at this for 4 years. I get way better at teaching. The content gets clearer, deeper, and more concise. And the doors are open until June 30th. DanielleLaporte.com/membership. Since I've got you here, let me give you a quick review. If you want to join just the life track, it's only $25 a month. And it's even more reasonable, that's even possible, if you use this checkout code. Go to DanielleLaporte.com/membership, life15, that's LIFE15. If you want support to be a more heart-centered leader, to market in a way that doesn't feel like you're selling your soul, to be in a community of conscious careers, then the membership also has a business track. It's only $75 a month, but you get $50 off your first month if you go to checkout now and use the code BIZ50, BIZ50. And I got to put a time-sensitive offer on this because the doors close and then we get focused and quiet as a community. And I probably won't open the membership up for joining until like January next year. So doors close this Friday, June 21st. It's all in a beautiful new portal. We've created an app for this because I want to get the teachings in your hands. And this is the lowest price that the Heart-Centered membership will ever be again. So, I don't love this phrase, but like lock in these rates now and keep them for as long as you maintain your membership. I've had some people who are in this membership for 4 years now. The prices are going to have to double when we reopen the doors again in January 2025. In this space of wellness, consciousness, spirituality, this kind of value with the amount of courses that you get, access to the portal with all of the playlists and the mantras, the meditations, etc., it's the best value out there. And you can think of it like this: spirituality in the front and business in the back. We have a life track and we have a business track. I'll see you in there. I'm going to switch gears. Values. This is how I feel about values. Of course, we're a heart-centered business. We embody this. I don't know if it's you need to be that clear on your values and follow these same values for years. Our values have shifted. I don't know if knowing your values really drives your team forward, but here's a question that I think will drive everybody forward that points to your values. And I'm borrowing this question from Seth Godin. You're going to fill in this blank. People like us do things like this. People like us do things like this. Oh my gosh, this is such a sweet, fun exercise. This is so good to do with a team. People like us send flowers to say thank you. People like us let everybody in, no matter what their economic situation is. People like us are punctual. People like us speak multimedia. People like us are inclusive, and inclusive looks like this. People like us have Flexi Fridays. People like us swear. People like us are funny, whatever it is. People like us do things like this. Those are your values. I really think that's all you need. Okay. Going to shift gears. You're getting all this in writing. This feels brisk. It's okay. You can get the replay. It's all going to be here for you again. Okay. About 20 years ago, I wish I still had it. I might have it in a folder somewhere. Although I am a perpetual burner and deleter. I had a little tiny note, about this big, that I typed up, printed out, that said my purpose for money. Because I realized I was kind of getting sucked into big goals and metrics and all the things. I want to make my first 6 figures. I want to make $1 million. I want to know this. And all that is noble and lovely. But I was like, why? I was really getting clear on like unmitigated growth being really the nucleus of psychotic enterprise. That is the dark side of the patriarchy. Just grow at all costs, no matter what. How about nourishing? How about nurturing? Like, do I really need to make more money? So I wrote a list of my purpose for money. So here it is. Here's some questions for you in a business context. What does your business need money for? I've talked to many, 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 many people about this. Some who are in startup mode, some who are making many millions of dollars, and they have not asked themselves this question. What do you actually need the money for? So obviously you need to pay your people. What do you need beyond that? So you want to pay your people competitively. It might be questions like the answers might be, we want to pay competitively. We want to pay generously. We want to work with A+ people. We want to have 4 weeks of vacation. We want to donate, tithe 5 to 10% of our revenue. We want to retire by X date. We want to pay it forward. What do you actually need the money for? So this isn't like we need warehousing and we all need computers, although that can all get factored in. But like, what's the why of your prosperity? That will lead to this next big question. Why are you doing this work in the world? You could do the diamond exercise where you keep asking yourself the same question. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? One answer might be, I want to save the children. Another answer might be, I want the approval of my father that I never got. Interesting answers there. How do we define success? It's totally yours to define. How do you define growth? Is it we all have more regulated nervous systems? We don't get physically ill as much? We have less anxiety? Or our email list increases by 30% every quarter? What is the cost of growing that way? What is the cost of your growth? What's the human spirit cost? What's the financial cost? What's the local and global resources cost? 3 more questions. How do your operating principles express your love for humanity? How do you use the business to evolve yourself? These are great questions to journal on every single month. I become more compassionate. I become more forgiving. I become more clear-minded. I shift my relationship to abundance and philanthropy. And last question, how do we take care of each other on all levels as a team? A lot to do with intimacy and communication. And what are your actual HR policies? Okay, I'm going to keep going. This is back to the woo. So we have a belief, a tenet, that the balanced feminine, the divine feminine energy, which I really think is the thrust of heart-centered leadership, is receptive to higher guidance. So these are some of the most woo things I do in my business. Most important thing I do for my business, for our prosperity, for our profit margins, for team development, for great marketing copy, is I meditate almost every day. If I am not clear, if I am not aligned with soul, if I have not asked the Holy Spirit to fill my mind with thoughts of God, I am not a clear thinker that day, or as clear as I could be. And I set it and forget it. I do my morning practice, and then I never guess myself during the day. If I have an idea, that comes after morning meditation, I assume it's good. Now I'm going to find out if it's good because I'm going to execute that idea. But there's no double guessing. There's no doubt. I'm just like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is what I want to make. This is where we're going. This is who I'm going to call. I do a team blessing ritual every day that I meditate. So I have a list written out of everybody on my team, including our closest vendors and collaborators, our freelancers. I have their full name, and I speak their name in the same order every day with meditation. And I work with the heart-centered manifesting practice. So I call in my guides, and I work with frequencies of color. So golds and pinks and whites, and I bring all that into my heart. And I see those names in my heart. I bless my people, bless the people. And I have this note on my phone as well, because meditation is good when it's practical. There it is. Oh, right. What's her middle name again? Oh, yes. Anne, Teresa, Aaron. Yeah. Okay. I offer all of my fears up to the sun. Some days I'm feeling neurotic and I need to name my fears. Fear of illness, of abundance, of apocalypse, of lack, of whatever it is, I'll name it. I offer it up to the sun and I just know that it is going to be transmuted. But now I'm in more of a habit where I don't name my fears. I do my heart-centered manifesting, my blessing of the team. Then I close that practice. I try and keep that practice impersonal. This is infinite blessings for infinite beings is the intention of that prayer. This is not, I want to make this much money this quarter. The prayer, for a prayer to be, or a practice to be impersonal, it has to include the goodwill of all, which includes you. If you're praying for abundance and wisdom for humanity, you get the abundance and the wisdom too. Or sometimes you could say, on behalf of the goodwill of all, infinite blessings for infinite beings, may I be wise, may I be abundant, may I be prosperous. But this is not self-centered. And self-centered manifesting is great. You've got to take care of yourself. But I complete that practice. Then I offer my fears up to the sun. Then I call on my true nature. This just comes from a beautiful transcendental experience I had once where I was just like, oh, this is what I really am. I remember that. And this magnificence. And then I do the Metabhavana prayer. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be free of suffering. May we be free of mental anxiety. May we live in peace. May our lives be blessed with ease. I'm going to keep going through this. We have a new practice that we've started, which was inspired by Elizabeth, who's our production and marketing director. And Elizabeth said, you know, that thing you do for yourself, could we do that for the team? So we almost have like these talismans for projects. So last project, which was for our Inner Circle Accelerator, here's an image we could all have as a screensaver, as a wallpaper, just a beautiful nature image. Here's a playlist. And here's a sacred word set. So our sacred word set is nourishing, nurturing, generosity, harmony, high touch. That's what I want all of us to embody. That's the experience I would love for everybody in our field to have. You now. Heart Center members, all of that. Okay, let's talk briefly about authenticity. We have a tenet, and this is how we think heart-centered leadership goes, how the divine feminine rules. The divine feminine, the balanced feminine, rests in authenticity. So we do not use ChatGPT. You can use it for research. We will never, ever, ever use it to write something that has my name on it. Ever. That's energy. That's robotic energy. Everything is energy. It's got to come from our minds down through our hearts, or from our heart up to our mind and out. And that is felt. Okay, this is the ultimate woo. You ask this question, what would love do? That's it. And it is the tragedy of our times, of contemporary commerce, that this is the afterthought, if it ever gets asked. I think woo-woo business is feminine leadership, is heart-centered leadership. What would love do? Love for your business and protecting what you built will consult with a lawyer, for sure. You got to know the rules. And love does not always do what the lawyer tells you to do, because it's often not heart-centered. Love treats, in our experience, love treats people as individuals. And that concludes my download on woo-woo business that works. Okay, if you want more on the metaphysics of business planning, I've got a free thing for you. Go to daniellelaporte.com/biz webinar, B-I-Z webinar. You get the business seasons outline. This is all so juicy. This is really how we run our business and stay sane. You also get the metaphysical week calendar. So everything I've been talking about in this episode, but bundled and well-designed, and you can just print it out. You get the Mercury retrograde guide for 2024, which you can use like for the rest of your life. And then you get the download on the Lunar New Year approach to planning life and business. We like to go with what happens in February, that freshness, Lunar New Year, as opposed to the faux New Year, which most of us think happens in January. And I've got a beautiful process called the Manifesto for Conscious Business. It's a very light kind of inquiry guide on getting clarity around what's really important to you and your business and your career. And it's been a how-to document that I've been tinkering with and making deeper and simpler for about a decade now. So you get all of that. It's really generous and lovely. daniellelaporte.com/biz webinar. I am fully cheering you on for your heart-centered work in the world. Thank you so much for listening, for feeling, for spreading the word. With love.